Ex-prosecutor locked up after guilty verdict in Hawaii. Honolulu APU. Two U.S. Marshals let a former Honolulu prosecutor out of a courtroom Friday when a U.S. judge ordered her detained after a jury found her guilty of conspiracy, and he expressed concern that she could try to obstruct justice before being sentenced. Catherine Kealoha left her purse with her defense attorney as the Marshals approached to take her into custody after the bail hearing. She lies. This. Her lawyer said Friday that the judge should consider that the 48-year-old Kealoha had previously complied with all the conditions of her release on bond during the trial. That U.S. District Judge J. Michael C. Bright interrupted. The jury also convicted two officers in a plot to frame Catherine Kealoha's uncle Gerard Puana for the theft of a mailbox to discredit him in a family financial dispute. Prosecutors said during the trial that the Kealohas were afraid the uncle would reveal fraud that enriched the couple's lavish life. Maintaining their pact, prosecutors didn't oppose allowing Louis Kealoha, police light. Derek Hahn and Louis Kealoha didn't attend his wife's bail hearing. They have appeared. The conspiracy charge carries a maximum 20-year sentence, but legal observers believe Catherine Kealoha could get less than 10 years behind bars. The Kealohas face another trial on bank fraud and identity theft charges involving allegations that she bilked relatives and children whose trusts she controlled. Prosecutors say Catherine Kealoha stole from her now 99-year-old grandmother in a reverse mortgage scheme that forced her grandmother to sell her family home. They say prosecutors say some was lavished on her firefighter lover. Catherine Kealoha also faces a third trial on a separate indictment accusing her and her pain physician brother of drug dealing. She used her position. During the trial, prosecutors portrayed Catherine Kealoha as the ringleader of the conspiracy. She invented an app. Jurors watched a deposition from Puana's mother, Florence Puana, who was unable to testify in court because of her failing health. Gerard Puana testified that Catherine Kealoha came to them with an idea about taking out a reverse mortgage on her grandmother's home to help buy a condo her uncle wanted. Kealoha said, "We noted that Kealoha tampered with potential witnesses, including sending letters trying to convince them Allison Lee Wong is a real person." Well, Kealoha had an innocent man incarcerated and tried to silence her grandmother after. She also got her firefighter boyfriend to lie about their affair to a grand jury and convinced the man whose childhood trust she controlled that his mother would go to jail if he didn't lie and say Kealoha gave him his money, C. Bright said. Attempting to obstruct justice is Ms. Kenneth Lawson, who teaches criminal law at the University of Hawaii's Law School, attended her bail hearing and said he knows how humiliating it is to be detained. He said Kealoha will adapt at the Honolulu Federal Detention Center, he said, adding that like he did, she will be able to trade her legal expertise for food.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.